Farmer, what about yourself? You've worked with quite a few, haven't you?
Along the way, yeah. Funnily enough, John, you used to. I seem to remember that you were behind Wicked Willy's Christmas dinner party.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I was on it.
Oh, of course you were. Yeah, I remember, Nev. Yeah, I was managing director at Jive, Zomba Jive, running
That's
Europe, and so yeah, Greg Jolliffe, the cartoonist, did this Wicked Willy thing, and we thought, you know, there's a few bob in this, so we got him to do the sleeve, and if you remember, the single was called Wicked Willy's 12-incher.
Yeah.
And we got everybody in. We had some downtime. I think it was the middle of the night, wasn't it, Neville?
Yeah, Battery.
Yeah, in Battery 1. And we just let the tape run.
We all sat in a circle.
That was it.
With an array of microphones in the middle. Actually, there were 2 attempts at this because the first one didn't work at all. And then there was a second one. We all sat in a circle, and it was John Dominic, Greg Jolliffe, but there were also musicians, a range of different musicians and other people from around the business. And we just sat there. John laid on bacon sandwiches and crates of beer and cases of wine. And we spent the whole night telling jokes to each other and recorded it. And then laid on a bit of sort of cutlery clanking in the background and a bit of quiet piano jazz music in the background, as though it was Wicked Willy's Christmas dinner.
Yeah, it did actually quite well. It went out at mid-price. And then what happened was Jive lost interest in it, and softly John Adrian was doing nothing before he married the Millionaireess.
Yes.
He took the tapes and relicensed them to, I think it was, anyway, some mid-price label. And it ended up on cassette only on the browsers of garages. And it sold millions. Yeah, it was like 50p. And, you know, as you're paying for your petrol, you picked up a tape. And I think I'm still in touch with Gray. Do you still see him?
Yeah, every now and then. He sold his house near Henley because he was offered so much money by the landowner around the back that he couldn't say no. But yeah, we're still in touch. And JD, I saw John Dominic it's just before lockdown, almost exactly a year ago. And he got up and played with Debbie Bonham. I don't know if you guys know of John Dominic, but he was in a band in the 60s called the Bow Street Runners.
Oh, yeah.
Had a young drummer with him who'd come from his school called Mick Fleetwood. And they won the Rediffusion Ready Tune competition and became which was the, you know, X Factor of its day. And you and JD used to own a plane together, didn't you, John?
Yeah, we had a little Cessna 172. Used to keep it out at Denham.
I flew it a couple of times.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's still got it. I haven't seen John for ages.
Yeah, I think he's still got it down there, and he used to fly it down to the Forest of Dean regularly. But he's a great character from the early days of the.
I found him actually on YouTube because there's a recording of the Bow Street Runners on doing Ready Steady Go. I think they did I'm a Bow Street Runner and you can't catch me, you know, that song. But that Wicked Willy thing, Clive and Ralph didn't even know about it. I didn't tell them afterwards because, you know, Clive and Ralph didn't have the biggest. Well, Ralph's got a sense of humour, Clive absolutely not. And they would have said no, so we just did it. And then, you know, I don't think even Clive knew we put it out, to be honest.
I think my first 2 records that I appeared on were both to do with you, John, and both to do with private parts, because the second one was Bags of Fun with Buster.
Good.
Johnny Japes and his Gesticles.
Yeah,
of his comic, and it was me and XTC and John Otway.
That was the end of my producing career, actually, because I used to get known. Well, no, I used to get known as this weirdo who does all the fucking weird stuff, and you know, because it started off with me doing the floral dance with the Brighouse and Rastrick band, and everybody takes the piss out of me. Oh, Terry Wogan did it, but Terry Wogan only got to number 14. We got to number 2. And it was only Muller Kintyre that kept us off number 1. And it went on to sell, then was on the full Monte. It went on to sell, you know, loads and loads, shed loads. And that was just hilarious. I mean, taking 30 miners to Top of the Pops was just absolutely hilarious. You know, watching them lech over Pan's people from the side of the stage. They were nudging each other, going, hey, look at that, hey, I'd rather be on that than on Knights, hey, boy. And it was just hilarious. And then with Brighouse, at one time, we did, what's the name of that anyway? There's a hotel just on Wigmore Street, where Wigmore Street comes down from Marylebone High Street on the left. Begins with a W, forget the name of it. Anyway, we did a colour photo session in there for the Sunday Times, because it was, you know, it was all news that a brass band had reached #2 in the charts. And they had one of these big plate cameras that you had to keep very, very still for. And they had this very affected, effeminate guy who was the art director, who was positioning them very carefully. And they had all these lights, these big halogen lights on stands, all arranged to go off simultaneously around this plate camera. And it got to the crucial time, and he said, okay, everybody stay completely still. And he stepped back, and he got his fucking foot caught in the cable, and he fell on his ass, and one by one, all these light stands went whack, whack, whack onto his head. And of course, they're red hot, and he's going, oh, it's hurting, it's hurting. Of course, that was the end of the photo session, because they couldn't stop laughing. They just completely freezed up. And then, sorry, to carry on, yeah, because then I did Wicked Willy and the Christmas Trees, and then I did, oh dear, I mean, then there was Toast with Paul, and I got known as the guy who could only do one-off sort of jokey singles, so that was the end of my production career.
I've got to pick you up on one thing, John. Minors were not allowed into Top of the Pops. You had to be over 18.
Oh, very good.
But anyway, I just had to get that out. Nick Carpenter, I know, Nick, that you are a co-host here, but you have sort of the other side of the biz, as it were, because part of Nick's job is looking after artists, but in a different way, Nick. And so just explain, we've had some hysterical examples of you working with odd combinations, but it's a weird job that you have, yeah?
Is it? I don't know. I mean, I do a lot of floor managing for live TV shows. I end up working on a lot of award shows, and award shows are always weird because of the guest presenters they tend to get. And it tends to be, in the case of things like the Brit Awards or the MTV Awards or whatever, that it's whoever happens to be in town that week and whoever picks up the phone. And so you just get very odd combinations of people. I can tell what you're working around to, Steve. He always gets me to tell this story. I'm not going to repeat it again, but the story of working with Bruce Forsyth and Lou Reed at the same time on the same stage is always amusing. But it just puts me in mind of odd combinations of people. I think last time we did one of these, we were talking about who was it? Was it somebody like Susie and the Banshees and somebody like Pat Boone? I can't remember. Anyway, it was. I made that up. But have any of you worked with or been in a situation or been on a show where there's bizarre mixtures of people? Certainly, Top of the Pops is a place where that used to happen a fair bit.
I did the Monte Carlo World Music Awards for a few years. I wrote the scripts and was the off-screen announcer. I mean, I've told stories about this before, but you could write a book or three. But I've done
a few of those shows myself.
You know what it's like, complete chaos. And Don Johnson was the presenter, the host on one of these when he was at his height on Miami Vice. And he didn't really understand the etiquette of Monaco. So the night before the show, he decided he was going to go to the casino. And he turned up in a Hawaiian shirt and shorts and flip-flops, and was promptly ejected from the casino, screaming, "Don't you know who I am?" The first thing we heard, we were all having dinner when someone came in and said, "We have a problem." And a convoy of cars went racing off towards Nice because he was on his way back to the airport with his bags. He'd had enough. He was going. He wasn't ever going to be so insulted by these filthy Europeans telling him he had to wear a tie and a jacket.
Well, I once told Don Johnson to fuck off. I've just been banned for telling from Facebook for telling Fed Fairbrass to fuck off. They banned me for a month because he was being objectionable. But when I was in Hollywood for that period of time, my wife was sort of an ex-groupie, sort of Frank Zappa sort of groupie girl growing up. But this is a big name drop, but her best pal was Melanie Griffiths. Melanie Griffith, that's right, and she was married to Don Johnson, wasn't she?
Yes, she was. Yeah.
She's the daughter of Tippi Hedren, the movie
correct,
star who's in The Birds.
Or one of those birds, that's right. Yeah. So and so, Catherine, my wife tells me one day, she said, "Do we want a dog?" And I said, "Well, I yes, we do. I'd love a dog, of course." She said, "Well, Don Johnson's been kicking their dog about the house." I said, "What?" Yeah, Melanie told me this little Yorkshire Terrier, so I've been kicking it. So we drove over there. She came out, give us a dog. I saw Johnson and said, "Will you fuck off? And I'll never want to see you again." And that was it. So that was my big appearance with Don Johnson. But kicking a dog around, you could just tell he's a complete twat. What a thing to do.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Steve. That's a lovely
That's okay.
story.
No, it's all right. It's in my book, coming out this in late October, price $14.99.